So I was jamming out to that wonderful, awesome music. You know how I do. I'm a dad. Make sure before I say anything else, make sure that you subscribe. Subscribing is the main way that we get you guys to follow us. So hit that subscribe button. It's most likely down here, I want to say. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you have not already. And as always, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming to lounge with us. Before we go any further, we got to drop that intro.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
Can you guys hear me now? I can hear myself, so I'm hoping that that is legit. Can you guys hear me now? All right, so I have no idea why that just happened, and these headphones aren't even connected to that, so it is what it is. As I was trying to say before all of that technical mumbo jumbo crap happened, my iPad that I was working with, that I've been working with for God only knows how long, decided it didn't want to work anymore. So, all that being said, let me kind of get back. We're going to restart and just stay here. I want to do this intro one more time because this is where it's all going to happen. You are now officially live with the Comics Lounge. Make sure that you subscribe. Awesome.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
All right, so I'm checking it on my YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. Obviously, I don't know what's going on with this. Don't know what's really happening or why that even happened, but it is what it is. We'll get back to it, and I'm just going to dive straight back into where I was before I found out that you guys were completely radio silent. Thank you, Kessel Runner. I am back. Soul Twice, what is up, buddy? Adrian V Comics, thank you so much for staying with us. Alex Garcia, thank you for staying with us. Max Comics, what is up, my friend? Good to see you, buddy. Alex Garcia, now that I can actually comment on it, yes, it is a nice shirt. One of the students in a totally different class where I teach saw this on Halloween because this was my costume. I was trying to work with a kid that just really wasn't ready for school. He was very apprehensive about it. I teach kindergarten this year, and I really wanted to kind of build that relationship the best way possible. So what I did was I asked his parents what he liked. They told me that he was just a huge superhero fan, and ever since then we've been working with him and all that to build his confidence for school. And this was the costume that I wore with my shield that is upstairs right now. And one of the kids in a different class saw me, and to this day he calls me Captain America. It is so cool, honestly. But anyways, as I was trying to say, I decided to buy this Hulk because my son is a huge fan of Spider-Man. There he is. Spider-Man. And I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man. My son literally I asked him what sound does Spider-Man make, and he goes, psst. Kid's 2 years old. He's awesome. So we saw this in the store. My son has the Spider-Man version of this, and we took it over to my in-laws today because he calls Hulk Papa. Papa is his grandfather, my wife's dad, my father-in-law. And I said, who is this, bud? And he goes, Papa, Papa, Papa. So we had to buy this. As soon as he saw it, he started calling it Papa. It was so cool, so cute. And honestly, because he can't join me on a live stream yet, I wanted to make sure that I had him with me because he's upstairs sleeping right now. So I always love to try to keep it all in the family. He's awesome. Yes, Alex, he is just the sweetest boy ever. And he is totally adorbs. So, some pickups. I actually went to my local comic shop. I wasn't able to do a Wednesday video. I don't know if that's going to continue to be a thing. I really want it to be. And as I was trying to say before all of our technical difficulties, what we're going to talk about tonight is my Zack Snyder feelings before I go into this movie, because I needed to talk about this well before anything goes down, well before I press play on that in my home theater style setup. Then I need to talk about my pickups from my local comic shop. Going to do that first, and then we're just going to kind of talk. I want to talk kind of about like favorite 90s theme songs. So bear with me. We'll get to all of that over the next half hour, 45 minutes. We're already 13 minutes into this, and I really haven't said much. So again, I'm going to make sure that in the comments for when people watch this replay to skip that first 9 minutes while you see me looking like a dork trying to figure everything out. I also told you guys that we're going to be talking about our 500 subscriber giveaway. We are on the road to 500 right now. It's been a slow road since we hit 400, trying to hit that next mile marker. And I'm just extremely psyched to hit that next mile marker. I'm hoping that we just hit the ground running and go straight from 440. I think we're at 415 right now. Go straight from 415 up to 500 in the next few days, maybe the next week. I'm not quite sure, but it is what it is. Also, not next week, but the week after, I'm going to be doing once again my Monday, Wednesday, Friday comics during the day. So Monday will be coffee and comics. Wednesday will be just like my local comic shop. I'm going to, again, try to do that at the shop. I'm not quite sure how well that's going to work out. It all depends on whether I really want to do it outside. I really want to like hit the ground running with that and kind of get that involved with you guys and get it into something just totally new. Damn, you got a lot of subs already. Wow. Yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, like I said, I entered today at 412 and I'm up to 415 over the course of today. I think I was actually maybe at 411 last night. So 4 subs in a day. Obviously, I really want to see some more growth, but it's got to be organic. I can't have it be where it's not organic. So anyways, without further ado, let's talk about my new comic book day haul. Before I can do that, I have to talk about what my wife picked up. Because as I said, this is a family affair. I love making sure that I mention the comics she's into, the stuff she's into, because it really is just all in the family. Pretty much all this stuff back here, I would not have it without the support of my family. All of these trades right here, most of them are my wife's. Wives. Ugh, that would be weird. This Wonder Woman is hers. There's a couple more up here. Right here is hers. And then there's a few up here that you can't see that are hers as well. So she has a lot of pops, and we added this Gamora one. A really nice vinyl collectible from Rock Candy and Funko from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Picked that up at my local comic shop. They were having a sale, 20% off all pops and whatnot, so it was definitely fun to pick that up. It's their 6th anniversary week this week, so they're working on their 7th year right now. I've been going there for the past 4 years, I want to say, 3 or 4. I've had a pull list there. Pretty much ever since I started, I found them and just never stopped going. Every week I've been there picking up books and whatnot. The next one she picked up is from Marvel Studios' The First 10 Years collection, and it's a Black Widow pop. Another one that's just in absolutely amazing shape. It's another Rock Candy one. And these are going to go up on the shelves. And I mean, I love collecting this kind of stuff because it's so cool to see what it's all about. Congrats on almost 500 subscribers. Thank you very much. My other channel reached 500 way back when I did it. I've talked about it before. But this one I'm really invested in. I really want to get well past that 500 subscribers. I want to just speak to the masses about comics and just have people join in as we're talking. I love that we have 5 people watching right now. I know that you guys can't see it. It's actually, I think, down here for you, but you know, it is what it is. it's absolutely awesome to have so many people enjoying the conversation. And it is a nice looking pop. I absolutely love these rock candy style pops. I also have a Wonder Woman one somewhere hiding, I think, behind that slab behind me. I love them. They're so interesting. They're very cool. And again, it's just so much fun to talk comics and do all this. So after reading Black Knight #1, the King in Black edition, I kind of fell in love with this character. It is a very cool character to see in comics. It's a very interesting character. The Ebony Blade is really kind of fun to read about. And I mean, it was a great read. It was a great book. So that was by Simon. Trying to see if this one is by the same writer. There it is. Variant cover artist Peach Momoko, Ron Lim, Israel Silva. So I didn't even realize when I picked this up that this was a Peach Momoko cover. It reminded me of the King in Black tattoo covers, so that's why I picked it up. Honestly, that is way too bright. Sorry about that, guys. I just put new batteries in this because it was completely dying, and that was clearly a bad choice because that was the lowest setting. So Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, issue #1. It is the same size. I'm going to butcher that name if I even try it, but it is Simon Spurrier and Sergio Davila. And let's see. It looks like Jesus Saiz did the artwork on this one, but this one's a little bit different. But I mean, the artwork in this is really amazing. It's so cool. Such an interesting book. It's a dope Momoko cover, but I'm selling almost all of my Momoko stuff. Why? But I already have that pre-ordered. Well, you know, why are you selling your Momoko stuff? I gotta hear that. But this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. It is a phenomenally drawn cover. I love covers that have like that yin and yang, that more than one artist, because you get to kind of see how they work together. And it's just so cool. The differences in the artwork. This is something that I would get tattooed on me. And I have some pretty awesome tattoos. One that I'm not insanely proud of. I wish that I would have thought it more through before I did it, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not saying that I hate it. I absolutely love it because of the meaning behind it. Just wished I would have did it differently. But that cover I would definitely tattoo on myself. Then I picked up, as it just came out this week, as well as one that I missed and a variant. So this came out, Sword #3. Or sorry, not Sword #3. Sword #4 came out this week. This was a really awesome read. Issue #1. Was very happy with it, very interested by it. It's interesting that Sword is going like the X-Men route, and I definitely like the way that Null is playing into the X-Men in this series, in King in Black, so it's definitely going to be a fun read, but I need to get caught up. I've read Sword 1 and Sword 2, but I saw this cover, and I think you guys are really going to like this cover too. Just a really awesome cover, really great artwork on it. It's one of those ones where it's got some great background to it, that really cool foreground, and then that white cape is just, it gets me. it's pricey to collect one artist stuff, even if I love her art. So I'm going to get prints of all of her cover art instead. That's actually really cool. Definitely a good way to go. Sure, if it's cover price and easily available, then no problemo. But if it's a ratio variant and some ridiculously high price and rare book, I totally get that, Max. And then I also picked up another. This was the one that I missed, issue number 3, that I have not read yet. So I need to get caught up and read issues 3 and 4 of Sword. Right now, I'm pretty much completely caught up with King in Black, with the main story arc and then most of the tie-ins. There were a few that I didn't skip. I just didn't read all the way through because they didn't grip me. They were ones that had some tie-in, but nothing extreme to the point where I needed to absolutely have it, and if I didn't have it, I was going to lose my mind. Then, this did not come out this week, but my wife picked it up. She really liked it. She hasn't been to this shop in a little while. This was by Vasquez. It's America Chavez, made in the USA. And before I show you the cover, because that's what she loved, I'm going to show you the inside artwork. Something I don't normally do. But I mean, this artwork on the inside, I don't even care what the story is. It is so cool. And I want to read this simply because it looks interesting. I've never actually read anything by this character. I just heard of her rather recently. So I definitely wanted to kind of dive into it. For those of you who don't know, America Chavez, a superhero. Mothers sacrifice their lives to save her home dimension. The utopian parallel young America knew she needed to live up to their example. America fell to earth and became the portal punching, dimension shattering, super strong hero she was born to be. As a young Avenger, an Ultimate, and most recently a West Coast Avenger, America knows what she's doing, where she's going, and who she is. Doesn't she? So this is going to be a really cool book to read. I don't think it's a one-shot. It actually does not say on that page. There we are. Doesn't look like a one-shot. And actually, should just look. Next issue 2 on sale, April 2021. So it's not a one-shot. Duh. See? Where noobs like me come to meet people who know what they're talking about. This Sunday, I'll be trying to auction off all of my Momoka stuff. Hurts me, but helps everyone else. Of course it does. Treat yourself. Yeah, you gotta. Alex is right. I totally agree with him. You gotta treat yourself every now and again. Mild on to some of her stuff that isn't Marvel, because you know that will be spiking. Yes, it will. And to talk about that real quick, why will it spike? Simply because she won't be doing it for a long time. I'm not sure how long of a contract she signed with Marvel. I don't know if it was, you're going to do this with us for this amount of time, or if it was just, you're going to be one of our exclusive artists and writers because we want you to be with us. I'm not sure the whole detail there, but I really hope that it gets into something major. I want to start reading her comments. I've heard great things about her. The best place for you to start, and I might have already put it away. I hope that I did not, but I think I might have. Best place I would say to start, Alex, mainly because I haven't read anything else of hers. I have a bunch of her cover art. I don't believe that I've read anything that she's written besides this. Demon Days, X-Men, issue 1. This is a one-shot. The writing and the artistry in this is absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, phenomenal. I can't speak highly enough of it, honestly. It's a really great book. It's an X-Men book. There's some really interesting stuff that kind of happens in this book, and that's all I'm gonna say. It is only a one shot that pissed me off to just no end, but there will be another one shot coming out in June. So if that gets you excited about anything, that's what I would be excited about with all this, because the fact that there's going to be another one means that I think they're going to be something. I think it's going to be something more, and they're going to kind of build up to something pretty cool. Nothing major, but just a fun read. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm not looking for this amazing, phenomenal, great, like perfect beast of a character of this and that and everything else. I want just something amazing. She's going to be exclusively a Marvel artist. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Max. I'm just not sure how long that's going to last. Will she be an exclusive Marvel artist for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What's going to happen there? Demon Days isn't a one-shot. It's a mini-series, right? It's a one-shot based on, and I'll pull it out real quick. I don't normally do this, but I will check because I am fairly certain I read one shot when I was looking at it. So in the back of this book, Demon Days Mariko, which is following one of the characters in here, is coming June 21st. So you can see that cover right there. I mean, that is fire. I love that. But let's take a look. Let me just make sure that I'm correct in what I'm saying. It's at the front. They move these around so much. Some are in the middle, some are in the front, some are in the back. Demon Days X-Men #1, May 21st, published as a one-shot by Marvel. Hate me all you want for breaking the news to you. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm sorry. It's a one-shot. I hate it. I hate that it's a one-shot. But again, I think it's going to lead up to a miniseries. I think they're going to introduce us to some characters to give us a taste and see how well it sells. How well does a Peach Momoko book sell? Obviously, her art sells. Does her writing sell? For me, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect. It's not something that I would consistently go back to, but I would put it on my pull list. That's kind of how I rate these books. If I would put it on my pull list, it's got to be above a 6. Simple as that. 6 or higher, bro. I know that's not the How I Met Your Mother saying, 8 or higher, bro, but 6 or higher, it ends up on my pull list because at some point it might turn into an 8. You never know, and you don't want to miss a beat while it's getting there. Miniseries are different. Miniseries, I'll put on my pull list for 2 or 3 issues, just because they're a 5-issue series. I don't want to miss out on any of that. It's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see all of that playing into each other and see how it might affect something bigger. Same with one-shots. One-shots are usually always going to be on my pull list, or I'm just going to find them and read them because it's a one-shot where you can't go wrong. Then let's continue to talk about this because I'm not done. I picked up another third printing of this, the Virgin variant of the second printing I saw at my local comic shop for $65. And while I do kind of think that's a little overpriced for something so simple, I can understand that that artwork is just phenomenal. And then I also picked up the King in Black Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1, mainly because this cover is fire. It is so cool watching Spider-Man just beat on Venom or symbiote dragons. It's just a absolutely fun cover. I can't wait to read it. Again, I just picked these up like 5 hours ago, so I haven't read them. I've been busy all night. This should be very interesting. It will be fun to see what characters they bring into this. It's cool to see that Spider-Man not only was in this from the beginning, from when Venom first kind of came to Earth, but now is kind of getting drawn back into this and just totally feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders like Spider-Man does. I mean, that's the Spidey that I love to see. That internal battle with that external battle involved. It's so cool. Which did you not know is out yet, Alex? The Amazing Spider-Man #1, the King in Black version. It just came out this week. And for those of you who don't know the other King in Black books that came out this week, I missed one last week, Fantastic Four 30, but it was only King in Black Spider-Man #1 and Sword #4. We've kind of died down with King in Black, and it's interesting how long it's going to take until we get King in Black #5. So the conclusion won't be coming until April, which means Venom 200 won't come until May. And I know that it was originally supposed to be here based on COVID not happening and the shutdown not happening. Venom 200 should have been here this month. We should have been able to see that this month, but obviously COVID happened. They pushed everything back, and, you know, it is what it is. The third printing, yeah, I think it came out last week, I want to say. I'm pretty sure I picked up, I think that's actually my second copy. But it's such a cool book. It's so interesting how such a simple cover made up completely of different webbing with a spider in the middle on his head is just such an amazing cover. Gleason is a phenomenal artist. I actually want to interview him. So help me out with this. The 3 people who are watching right now. When you are done watching, whenever that might be, I don't care if you watch me talk about comics for the next 5 hours or you watch me talk about comics for the next 5 minutes. Whenever you're done watching this, please go message him and say, the Comics Lounge really wants to interview you. We would love to see you guys talk comics, and we would love to see you tell us all about how you came up with the drawing for Amazing Spider-Man 55. That's all I want to know. Because this isn't something like this isn't this beautiful, elaborate, like masterpiece work with thousands of things going on. It is such a simple yet so complex piece of artwork that just makes it absolutely beautiful. It is gorgeous. I love this piece of artwork. I would frame it. I would frame all 3 side by side, honestly. Alex, I got you, homie. Dude, thank you. Honestly, I want to interview him. I want to hear how he ticks. I want to hear all of that. The other thing I picked up that I'm definitely looking forward to, and part 5 of 6, is Thor 13. Part 5 of Prey. I'm very interested to see where this all goes. What is going to happen here? A lot of people have been very apprehensive with this. They've been very upset. And they want to see something major happen. I've liked it. I would definitely say that it's made me pull back a little bit from where I was at with Thor during COVID, with Thor 1 through 6, with Black Winter. It's not my favorite. It's not something that is this beautiful, elaborate Donny Cates style that I know and love. It's definitely a different style of writing. I definitely kind of wondered what's going to actually happen. Where is this all going? What is this leading up to? And I'm probably going to have to go back and reread the whole series or the whole arc. But honestly, this is one of those stories that I absolutely love because Donald Blake is such an interesting character, and the way that they're writing him, the way that they wrote him in the very first issue where he finally came back, I think it's since like the 70s. We haven't seen him in that long of a span. It's been 40 years or so. So seeing this whole new side really got me to want to know more. It drew me in. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of the arc, But honestly, it made me want to know more about Thor, and it's making me want to read more Thor comics. So Donny Cates has succeeded in making someone find a new superhero to kind of put on his pull list, because Thor was never on my pull list before, and he probably should have been. Spider-Man was on my pull list. There was some interest. There were some other small titles on my pull list, but Donny Cates has kind of got me into Thor again. He also got me back into Venom. I loved Venom growing up as a kid. I never read any of the comics, but I loved watching the shows with Venom in them up until Spider-Man 3, but we won't get into that. If you want to watch more on that, you can go back and watch last week, episode 6. That's where we talked about that. Another one that my wife picked up, Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn. This is just a really cool book, a really awesome cover. One of those ones that I'm probably not going to read. This is going to be mainly just her, but just a wonderful, fun book to read, or a wonderful, fun book to look at. It's so interesting, the different dynamics of Batman and Harley, and I hope that she loves it. Honestly, it's a cool book, very interesting to say the least. I'm going to put that with her books over here. All right, the other one that she picked up is Marvel Snapshots, Captain Marvel. So this is, I'm quite certain, a one-shot. Yep, published as a one-shot. And I'm not sure what these are. My wife's been reading them. I think what they basically are is just kind of like little bits and pieces of who Captain Marvel is, like how she got her, maybe not even how she got her powers, but just like a story of Captain Marvel. So I'm probably going to read this one. This cover is phenomenal. It's a really amazing cover. It's in mint condition, obviously, because I just pulled it off the shelf, but that doesn't really mean much all the time. But this is just, it's so cool. I'm very excited to see more about it, read more about it. The cover art was done by Alex Ross, so that explains why I like it so much. His art's phenomenal. It is a nice cover. Definitely. My wife then picked up the non-variant edition. I only had the variant edition of this, but she loves Black Cat just as much as I do. So you got Null, Spidey, Doctor Strange, Black Cat, and Venom all on the cover of this. Black Cat, King in Black, issue 3, the non-variant edition of it. It is just a beautiful cover. I love the way that the different panels are, the purple on the bottom, the way that her eyes are on the bottom. I just noticed that looking at it. And you got Doctor Strange. And I was like, why is Doctor Strange in this? Because she hasn't read much of King in Black. She's not a huge Venom fan, but she is a huge Black Cat fan. So I need to get her to read these, because honestly, they are as much Black Cat as they are King in Black. I'd even say more Black Cat than King in Black. It's one of the few tie-ins to King in Black that is just so cool and interesting. What is up, Peanut Butter? Good to see you. Where Jelly at? It's kind of like a running little thing that we have. The last 3 books that I have for you guys, I know we're now 42 minutes in before I've even gotten to Zack Snyder. I'm going to talk Zack Snyder. I promise you that. But it's taken me a while to kind of get through these books because you guys have had some awesome conversation in the chat with me. I've been really enjoying it. This Spider-Woman cover by Jen Bartel is absolutely beautiful. And I showed my wife the cover A version, the first print version. She had to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, which one do I actually want? But this is just sexy for all the right reasons while still being so chill in a way, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, honestly, tell me that that cover is not absolutely 100% fire. I mean, it's so cool. This got me right here. This is just so interesting. This new panel style. I don't think I've ever seen this style on a comic before. The Jessica Drew name moniker is on there. Women's history. It's such a cool looking book. I know women's history is a lot about, well, feminism and sex not needing to sell, but this just honestly, it's such an interesting book. I can't wait to read it. I haven't been a huge fan of the current arc of Spider-Woman either. It's interesting. It's captured me. I want to learn. I want to read more, but it's one of those books that I don't really pick up on. It's, it's here or there, honestly. All right, we've got 4 people watching. I'm so happy that you guys are here. 2 more books, I promise. So this is Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, book 3. Again, another book that my wife picked up. I can't say too much about it because I haven't read any of them. But she is absolutely in love with them. She loves the artwork in them. Tells me all about how funny they are, how interesting they are. And there was one, I'm not sure if it was the Birds of Prey ones or something different. And she's like, this is a porno about to happen. I was like, it's Harley Quinn. What can you say? And then this one. So this is one that she's been reading that I have not, and I'm kind of beating myself up for not reading it. It's a noir style book. And I'm not sure if that's the true style that it's in. It's what I would consider it, based on the cover, the artwork, the cover, all of that. It's Joker, Harley, Criminal Sanity, issue number 7. This book is just amazing. It's just so interesting. It is part of DC's Black Label. I've said for years, well, not years, but I've said since this channel started, Marvel should do something like this. This whole darkness, dark vibe that we get from DC's Black Label, I personally think has saved DC. I think that there's so many new people getting into comics right now that saw the Black Label and were like, wow, this is actually really interesting. This is a whole new side of superheroes that we don't see that often. So with all of that being said, those are my pickups for the week. Hulk, thanks you for allowing him to be on. If you missed it, this is my son's Papa. This is who he calls Papa. And it's so funny. So anyways, before I dive into anything Zack Snyder, I'm going to drop that intro one more time so you guys know who you're watching.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
And if you have not already, please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And we are so happy to have you here tonight, all 6 of you now. Thank you very much. I see a lot of people. Is that what DC Black Label is? Darker stories. So it's not darker stories. It's just stories that aren't really for the faint of heart. Kids who are younger. It's kind of like they're not really mature rating, but getting to that level. This is the artwork in it. Like I said, it's got that noir style. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting style. This is the only Black Label stuff I have. so I can't speak to all of it. But from what I've heard, that's what DC's Black Label is it's the darker side of DC. It's their stuff that doesn't tie in to anything else going on. So pretty much anything that happens in a Black Label book, this is my understanding. I'm not saying this is true. This is how it's been explained to me. DC's Black Label does not tie into DC's main story arc. It just doesn't. It's something that is kind of outside of the main story arc without being not a DC book. So it's got DC characters, DC stories, but it's not going to affect the day-to-day life of Harley Quinn after Future State. It's not going to affect Batman's life currently. It's not going to tie into who Batman's fighting, who the Joker's killing, whatever. That's not it at all from my understanding of it. Basically, what I know about it is it to be the darker stories. And I've said this, like I said, for a couple months now. I really wish that Marvel would do something like that. I think that would be really cool. Get some dark stories involved. Venom would be a perfect character for this. Another really cool character to see this with is Captain America. I would love to see some cool dark stories from Captain America. Emma Frost would be really cool to see that. The Ice Queen, such an interesting style. Magneto would be cool. Deadpool, which is already kind of over the top. DC Black Label. It's like Indies, but within the DC universe, which is sometimes irrelevant. I guess that's the best way to put it. and even darker Daredevil would be cool. Honestly, I don't know how you feel about the Daredevil show that came out on Netflix years ago, but I thought that it was pretty dark. I thought that it really hit on the points of Daredevil that Daredevil never really hit on. Sorry, my feet are getting extremely warm because I've got this heater right next to me because I'm in a basement, and it is what it is. But honestly, it's so cool to see different sides of everything. Love Daredevil on Netflix, dude. It was such an interesting way to represent that character. Charlie Cox did a phenomenal job. I would love to see him take up the mantle again. That would be amazing. But anyways, Zack Snyder. My initial thoughts on them talking about a Zack Snyder Justice League, when everything went down and in 2017, we got Joss Whedon's Justice League. I hated it. I thought that it could have been so much better. I thought, and I've said this for years, to friends of mine, to people who I know, people I don't know who I'm talking about, DC EU with, the DC Extended Universe, all of their movies up until this point. Shazam doesn't really tie in much. Wonder Woman 2 was atrocious. Batman vs. Superman just had the wrong storyline. We needed a Batman movie after introducing Superman, in my opinion. You needed to introduce that Batman in such a better way, not make Superman a villain, not make Superman even part of that movie. Bring him in at the end like you did Wonder Woman. And honestly, the fact that Superman was a title character and had less lines than Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War should not have happened. Case in point, simple as that. I'm leaving it there. That's what I'm going to say about Batman vs. Superman. I will rewatch it. It is interesting, but that was the wrong storyline to go with 2 movies into the DC EU. Purely that. Going back to Daredevil, I'm sad it was canceled too, Alex. And sorry to just gloss over that. Like, you didn't just say that and that you're sad. Honestly, it made me sad that it was canceled, but I know that it was canceled for a reason. I know that Marvel's going to do something more. Trust in Excelsior. All I can say. But honestly, it's Zack Snyder is an interesting person, to say the least. He really is. I found Watchmen interesting to watch. I liked it. It was definitely a phenomenal movie, wonderful cinematography. I will say that Justice League, the Joss Whedon version, was very cinematic, is the word I'm looking for. Was very cinematic. The cinematography in it was really cool. A lot of green screen, obviously, a lot of CGI. But what do you expect? I mean, we're talking about superheroes fighting this giant horde of whatever they are. Like, you're gonna get that. But honestly, I'm trying my best to go into this Zack Snyder 4-hour movie with an open mind. I have 3 reservations before watching it, and I'm going to go over those right here, right now. So stay tuned if you want to hear them. If not, go watch Meta's auction or something. I don't care where you go, but Peanut Butter, I'm doing this before I've watched the movie. I'm talking about this before I've watched it. I want to share my thoughts with you guys before I do anything with that movie. I went to click play on it last night in bed, and I wasn't watching it on the 65-inch screen. I was watching it on the 19-inch screen. And the fact that it's in 4.3 ratio already made me like cringe a little bit. But that's not one of my 3 reservations because I didn't know that going into it. I was ready to click play and watch it. I was like, you know what? I want to talk about it first, and I want to watch it downstairs on the 65-inch television with the surround sound that I just finished off. So, no, I have not watched it yet. Oh, no, I understand. I'm interested in what you have to say about the JL movie. And better get 4 hours of snacks. Honestly, I have heard, though, peanut butter, am I allowed to have peanut butter as a snack for this movie? Or is that just a you thing? Let me know. I have heard that it is a very quick 4 hours, just like Endgame was a very, very quick 3 hours. Here's my issue. Here's issue number 1. You're talking about a 4-hour movie. Put that aside for a second and think about all of the movies that have come out in the DC EU extended unit, the DC extended universe. Let's just go there real quick. Let's talk about that because that's important. It's very important to dive into that first before we get into anything to do with this. It's something that needs to be said, and I want to just point this out because with every, and take all of this with a grain of salt because I'm not a comic book expert. All I know is Death of Superman was not the story to go with for your second movie. Resurrection of Superman was not the story to go with for your third movie, or roughly third movie. So let's take a look at the DC extended universe for a second. Where is it? Oh, I can't because it's not. Come on. So one of the things about doing this on a Mac is that StreamYard won't use Safari. So I had to go through this and do Chrome tab. There we go. All right. So looking at this right here, you've got Man of Steel. You've got some interesting movies down this list. So let's just go through them. Everything started in 2013. That's 5 years after Marvel started their universe. 2013, Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice comes out in 2016. Suicide Squad, which doesn't really tie into anything but happens in the same universe, comes out in 2016. Wonder Woman comes out in 2017. Justice League comes out in 2017. Aquaman in 2018. Shazam doesn't tie into any of this. That's 2019. Birds of Prey does not tie in, but it's in the same universe. I think Shazam is too. Birds of Prey comes out in 2020. Wonder Woman 1984 comes out in 2020. And then for some reason, we're going to call this a whole separate movie. I'm not a huge fan of calling it a whole separate movie simply because why? It's not, it is a separate movie. But the fact that you need 4 hours to tell part 1, 2, 3, part 4, movie number 4, truly only movie number 4 is upsetting. Honestly. What is up, Remy? I am so excited to have you here. It is awesome to see you. I would love to have you join us live one of these nights. Let me know when you are available, and we will make it happen, buddy. Honestly, though, we're 4 movies in at this point when Justice League came out. Put aside anything that happened with Zack Snyder. If this movie came out 4 movies in, which it still did, do not be fooled by this Wikipedia page. It's released in 2021, yes. But, and this is my first apprehension on this movie, if we have this come out, if we have Zack Snyder's version come out in 2017, would it be a 4-hour movie? Remy, you are totally cool, buddy. No worries. Honestly, don't worry about it. I appreciate you being in the live chat. It's all good. Every Friday we do this, 10 p.m. Everyone who is willing and able is welcome to join. Now, honestly, do you think this would have been a 4-hour movie if this was the movie that came out in 2017? That's my first apprehension about seeing this movie. It's 4 hours. Endgame took 21 movies to build up to a 3-hour movie. And I know that I'm being very nitpicky. I know that this is probably not the best way to go about talking about such a controversial movie. But the DC universe has not done well for the fans until now. And yes, Joss Whedon did not make a phenomenal Justice League movie. But here's the issue. If I give you all of my ideas on how to make this phenomenal movie that's sitting up here inside my head, and I say I can no longer do this, here's my baby, take care of it while I go help out over here, would you get a phenomenal movie? And I'm not taking anything away. I don't want anyone to say that, well, his daughter died. I know she did. She committed suicide. I totally get it. That affects me deep into my soul. Honestly, I'm not trying to be heartless. I'm not being heartless here. I'm talking about the movies themselves. The fact that we're getting a 4-hour movie, I think that it could have been more than that. I think that they are trying to put this out and push it out there, and they're rushing, and or not rushing, but they're forcing it down our throats. And where does DC go from here? That's my biggest issue. That's why I'm putting it at number 1. Where does DC go from here? Again, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. I don't know the end credits. I know that in the original, they brought in, obviously, Lex Luthor brought in Deathstroke. It's all going to be very interesting. But why are we talking about this simply to get a movie out there because the fans wanted it? And I get that. I wanted it. I wanted to see what the true vision for this was. But a 4-hour movie, I don't think is the true vision of this. And my biggest issue with Zack Snyder is the fact that he doesn't know how, it seems, to put a movie together that fits into a time slot that we can actually take in and break down and focus on. And just, I mean, I can't remember how long the extended cut of Watchmen was. I didn't watch it. I was young when Watchmen came out, so it didn't grip me. I didn't know who the Watchmen were. It was well before I got into any of this. I would love to go back and rewatch it and see it all again. But I was looking forward to that new Deathstroke and Batman movie, but then it got canceled. Yeah, Remy, you're laughing, buddy. I don't know. You're probably laughing at me. Honestly, I'm laughing at me right now too. My apprehensions are probably totally unfounded, and I'm probably gonna watch this movie and be like, "Wow, Zack Snyder delivered," and he does. From everything I've heard, Zack Snyder has delivered a phenomenal movie. He's served us up this beautiful movie on this amazing platform, HBO Max. I'm very happy that I'm able to watch HBO Max, that I have all of this at my fingertips. Remy, I'm going to message it to you right now on Instagram. Where'd you go, buddy? Sorry, having a business account on Instagram sometimes gets confusing. Yes, it is, Remy. Sorry, I just saw your text. So, honestly, that's my first apprehension about this. My second apprehension, not as major, simply with DC doing what they're doing, are they going to be able to top what is going on or what just happened in this?
What's going on, bud?
So happy to have you on. I love the background. I got to say it. I got to do that every week.
Look, I always tell people if somebody's hosting, okay, if you're going to host, the least I can do is represent the channel a little bit for you. So there you go.
Hey, that a Mighty Ducks hat?
What's that?
Is that a Mighty Ducks hat?
Oh, it's a Friday the 13th.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Hey. No. You know what? I'm. Thanks for having me on, man. Again, I'm sorry. So sorry I'm late to the party, but I want to tell you. I completely agree with you, and I was on Small Town Collectibles where we were talking about just the anticipation of the movie and what our thoughts were. And one of the gripes that I had was I agree with you that I think Zack Snyder has an issue with an actual movie time. You know what I mean? Because it's like anytime that it's like there's always more content that he has to add in, or it's like, oh, we didn't get to everything got chopped, and a lot of movies things get chopped out. You know what I mean? Like that's just that's the name of the game. It's like the director's cut for most movies is 3 or 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And you just can't fit it all in there. But yeah, I mean that I know, Dawn of Justice, I actually did enjoy that, but you were right. There's a lot that they crunched into that thing. And I mean, you're talking about a Doomsday intro, Lex Luthor, Wonder Woman. I mean, it's like you said, the death of Superman. It's like, wow, that could have been a movie in itself.
Well,
and you squeeze it into the last 15 minutes there, just trying to get something going. So it's crazy to think about. You
introduce Superman at the beginning of your extended universe, and then you kill him off in the very next movie. It's like, did you not think of, hey, why don't we not do the 90s style of Superman where everyone hated that storyline? It didn't sell, and it almost ruined us. It would be like Spider-Man saying, you know what, let's do the Clone Saga. Like, it's not going to work. And honestly, that's my third issue with going into this movie. My third apprehension about this is I feel like Zack Snyder always has an excuse. He always is like, oh, well, if you would have seen the real movie that we were thinking about, you would have loved it so much more. And it's like, then give it to us. Like, we should need a 4-hour director's cut on HBO Max in order to do this.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, you have to consider it's like they it's like they took the movie and they said, okay, this movie stinks.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we're going to give you 4 years and another $70 million. It's like, okay, sure. We'll make it better than it was the first time. So yeah, I get what you're saying as far as how you can go into it thinking, I'm not really sure. So
not that hard to make it better than you did the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one failed. It did. It fell flat on its face. Like I said, the cinematography in it was phenomenal. Especially that final fight scene, that was phenomenal. But like, my dad's been a Superman fan for years. He loves Marvel to death, but he also is like a Superman Batman. He grew up hardcore on it. His brother and him collected all of those comics. They loved them. And he goes, who the hell is this band over here named Steppenwolf? Like, that's a band, not a villain. And it's like, we're talking about Justice League. When did you ever, like, Steppenwolf is not a Justice League villain, in my opinion. Yes, he was in the comics. Yes, he fought them. But, like, if you're going to come up with this phenomenal big bad villain, why? Why come up with someone so simple? And honestly, I think that Joss Whedon's version, if it was his own baby, not Zack Snyder's, given to him when that tragedy happened, it would have been phenomenal because it would have been his own thoughts, and we would have seen part one of the Justice League, and then you would have seen this Justice League, the Zack Snyder version, come in and save the day, just like we saw Infinity War and Endgame play into each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and I think for the first one, given with the circumstances and the time frame, and I mean, basically you had half a movie that was given to a director, and then you had a production company that said, "Hey, we got to get this thing out." You know what I mean? Like we've wasted enough time. We're bringing you in as our ringer to try to make this the best that you can. This is your time frame. Go. You know what I mean? And I think there was a lot of push to get that thing going. But yeah, I can tell you. I mean, I have seen it, I was really impressed. I really was. So I had anticipated something good. I was hoping that there was be a lot better tie-in for a lot of things, and so again, I was impressed with that point. So
I just want to point this out as well. Post Justice League, pre Justice League, they were coming out with a movie almost every year, or 2 movies every year. 2016, 2017, they had 2 movies. Post Justice League, they came out with 1 movie each year. That's how much the Justice League movie kind of fell short. It didn't capture a lot of people, and now they had a plan. Now they're going back on their plan. They're kind of doing like what Star Wars was, where they had no idea if Rey was a Palpatine or anything up until they finally decided, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Well, I think everybody had thought though that this is it. Like if it does well, you're good. If it doesn't do well, it's going to be a nail in the coffin for a while, at least. It seems that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think DC's thing is it's exactly what you said, where it's like they crunch so much story into one that you don't really get to experience the story arc itself. You know what I mean? It's like they hit you with boom, 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 and you got 6 different, major stories that they're just crashing all together. And it's, one of the beautiful things about Avengers is, when it finally came out, it was like, shoot, how many movies are we in waiting for this? Like this took so many years to collaborate and get all these pieces to go together. And then DC was kind of like catching up, and they're like, all right, well, you got 3 movies. So they got 20 plus. So guess what? You got 3.
Realistic.
And then we're gonna have the branch off. We'll give an Aquaman movie. We'll have a Wonder Woman movie, but those will be after the fact. You got 3 movies to really get your point across.
Exactly.
The Avengers took 20. We're gonna do that in a quarter of that.
And I mean, it wasn't that DC wasn't trying. It wasn't that they weren't coming up with these phenomenal actors. Honestly, I think that Henry Cavill does the best job possible playing Superman. It's such a hard superhero to play. I've said this before. You're playing like 3 different characters all in one, because you've got the down-to-earth side of him, the super side of him, and then the extraterrestrial side of him. He's kind of like learning his way in this world from an infant, and trying to show off without showing off, and trying to be a hero without anyone knowing he's a hero. And that's not an easy character to play.
Not only that, but it's like I think the look as well is there too. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just be like a huge beefy Arnold, physique. It's like you got to just fit right in there. And so, physically, I think that's difficult, because like Clark is Clark. I mean, you don't want a menacing Clark Kent. So it's like he's got to look like a normal dude. But exactly. I mean, Superman. So it's kind of like, well, then you have to have the superhero side. So I think they definitely did a good job picking him, and I think he does well in the part. But I mean, physically, he looks like a good Superman. So
definitely, and I mean, Wonder Woman. They picked the perfect Wonder Woman. They picked, in my opinion, I don't think that Ben Affleck gets enough credit for his interpretation of Batman. I think that he really did a phenomenal job. I think Ben Affleck gets crapped on a lot for no reason. And
that completely surprised me. You want to talk about somebody who was on the wagon for get him the hell out of here? I was like, why the heck are we even talking? Ben Affleck, where did this come from? Yeah. And my wife was like, no, he'll play a great Bruce Wayne. Like he knows what it's like to be a celebrity. And I was like, Hollywood knows what it's like to be a celebrity. He's gonna be terrible. But sure enough, surprised the hell out of me. I was like, yeah, he's a pretty good Batman. I'll give him credit. Like that was definitely a relief. So
Lex Luthor was a surprise. I wasn't a huge fan of that character choice, that actor choice. There was another one in Justice League. Oh, Ezra Miller. I can't stand him in anything except for not Harry Potter, but the spin-off of Harry Potter, the prequels. Can't think of what they're called right now, but like besides that, I've never been a fan of anything that he's done. I thought that they should have kept Grant Gustin. It pissed me off to no end that they said that it was too lighthearted. I'm like, I'm sorry, Grant, like his characters literally lost someone close to him every single time. It's like, why are we talking about this not being too funny, too lighthearted? Like that's what Marvel's been doing. It's been working fine for them. Arrowverse and Flashverse now have been doing that lighthearted joking every now and again when crap hits the fan and whatnot, and it's been working. I mean, people watch those for 5, 6, 7 seasons, and Arrow kind of fell off after season 5, and Flash is kind of just picking back up now. Fantastic Beast, that is it. Thank you, Alex. I was going to break on that one.
Sorry, you said it, and it's a classic where somebody's singing about it, and then you get in. I'm sitting here like racking my brain, like, oh, I can't picture it.
Exactly, and I mean, you have these phenomenal characters. Stephen Amell is Green Arrow. I'd love to see him come onto the big screen.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot of people have said like Grant Gustin is a TV actor. It's totally different being a big screen actor. But honestly, how much different can it be? If you're taught the right way, you have the right director, and you've already played the hero, there's only this tiny bit more to learn, and you're there.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. It just seems, it seems like they picked the wrong character for that. And then after he choked out a fan, I'm surprised that they, in this day and age, they were able to even allow him to keep his job, that people weren't like calling for his resignation right then and there.
Mhm.
And Aquaman is the absolute perfect character. He's phenomenal in Game of Thrones, and he plays Aquaman perfectly. I can't wait for the second Aquaman.
That was
like-
another one that they shoved a lot into that one too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but again, it was, you know what I mean? It was kind of like, wow, how many storylines can we fit into one movie? I mean, it's crazy. Like you went from start all the way to finish with Aquaman. Is everything that ever could happen was put it all in one movie.
That's what killed Wonder Woman 1984 for me, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they tried to fit Cheetah's introduction and Wonder Woman, kind of learning her way without Steve, and now you've got Maxwell Lord in there, and he's not the character that he was at all in the comics. I mean, why would you change that up? Of all people to change up, and of all villains to just totally write off. I mean, he was a phenomenal villain in the comics. And again, I didn't read any of his comics or anything that he was in, but just like reading about him and reading the differences and all of that going into it, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with this. And then I'm watching it, and I got probably halfway through, and I'm like, okay, this is slow as can be for a sequel. Like, supposed to be action right away, and you're diving into those characters, you're introducing the new characters, and you're ready to go, and it fell so flat.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm hoping that if this does anything for the DC universe, is it just revitalizes it completely. It makes us forget about all the failures of the 2017 Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder version. Because, I mean, that was mainly Zack. I will say that was mostly him. Joss Whedon kind of just put the finishing touches on.
Yeah.
It was more, from what I understand, it was more than halfway done. And again, it was a tragedy of a magnitude I can't even imagine, and one that I wouldn't even want to imagine. But to say that it's only on Joss Whedon is another issue that I have, because, again, this is Zack Snyder's MO. It's, well, if you saw the real movie, this is what you would have seen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's like exactly what we said before. Like, in those parameters, though, is he able to make a regular length movie? Or is it just, even if he hit us with a two-parter, like, is that something where it's gonna, can you end it in such a way that you cliffhanger into the next one?
I mean, that's what Infinity War did perfectly, is they did a perfect thing of part one and moved straight into Endgame. And I love the little Marvel Easter eggs that they were giving us. Everyone was like, oh yeah, FH is going to be the hint that you get for the next movie title. Everyone's like, oh, Fallen Heroes, Fallen, or this and that. And then it ended up being EG and not FH. And they had that one little screenshot of a set where it actually spelled out Endgame in the stuff. It was so cool to watch them do that. And I want that from DC. I want them to be just so over the top cringy that you start to just fall in love with what's happening when you're not a fan. And I mean, again, I came into the Marvel universe not really knowing much about Marvel. Like, I always loved growing up with superheroes and whatnot. I had every action figure I could get my hands on, and I watched every DC and Marvel animated show that I could growing up. Static Shock, Spider-Man, Justice League, X-Men. I mean, all of them. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the shit. And I loved growing up with them. But when I got into Marvel, I was like, okay, what is the true source material behind all this? And that's when I started reading comics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want DC to kind of speak to a wider audience than just their fanboys and fangirls, because what's been happening is they've kind of fallen off the wagon and they're going to go downhill. And the other crazy part is they're not going to see a damn dime from this movie.
Mhm.
Like, you gave Zack Snyder $70 million and put it out on a subscription service only. They're never
Yeah.
going to make that. Not realistically. I mean,
Yeah. I'm still kind of baffled when I had heard that. Just thinking about kind of how the MCU's been, they've kind of toyed around with Black Widow so much, where it was like, what are you doing? Are you streaming this? Are we not streaming it? Are you gonna wait a year? We're gonna wait 2 years? Like, how are we gonna fit this in here? And like, that was kind of the big debate. And it was like they were standing strong, like they could not release it in the theaters, So, this was definitely a surprise. But who knows? Maybe just the sheer fact that it's something that technically was already released. So I mean, it's, I don't know.
I'm hoping, going on the Black Widow side of this, I'm hoping that with it having a May 21st is the release date right now. And that's actually when I'm expecting my next baby, when my daughter's planned to be born. So, I mean,
congratulations.
If she's born on the day that Black Widow comes out, I know my wife's never going to let me live it down. But with all of the drive-ins that have popped up over the past year, and all the ones that just absolutely succeeded in COVID because you could stay in your car, it was simple, it was easy, you could still watch movies. I think that Marvel should release it. I think they should release it into the theaters and let it stay there for a month or two, and then put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go to
kind of get that initial bump in the theaters, see how it does, and then go from there. Yeah.
Because, and I mean, that's the biggest thing is, like, with a movie like a director's cut, you've already gotten the money for it. You already tricked your fans into believing it was good. They've paid for it. Actually, I'm not sure if I saw Justice League in theaters now that I'm thinking of it. I want to say I did, but I can't remember watching it in theaters, which tells you that it wasn't gripping. But with all that being said, I think that it's just going to be this interesting book, or this interesting movie, that needs to happen in theaters, because you'll lose some of that if you see it at home. I mean, HBO Max had to release this movie in 4:3. Like, that was shocking to me.
I don't know about that, Tyler. Sorry.
I was just in the other channels, and Remy was live on there too.
That's the real magic.
Maybe you're watching a replay, Tyler.
It's like my twin brother steps on here and nobody knew. I'm like, hey,
There's like
reveal.
actually walking around. How does Remy keep doing this? I saw JL for a week before it was released when I was attending UCSB. Not sure. UCSB. It's got to be a Comic-Con of some sort. And Shattered Glass Comic Reviews. Tyler is an awesome supporter of the channel, so make sure that you go subscribe to him. As always, make sure that you subscribe to Remy. He has a wonderful channel as well, and he's everywhere, as we all know.
I think Tyler over there, we're gonna have a giveaway here pretty soon, so definitely go check him over at Whack Comics.
That's awesome. And I'm doing this giveaway for my 500 subscribers. I picked this up. It's a nice Power Rangers Peach Momoko cover.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And then the grand prize of all of that will be this 9.6 slab. I know it's nothing beautiful anymore. It was a $250 book before COVID started. at a 9.8, 160 or so at a 9.6. It's since then dropped down, but it's still a beautiful slab to have. It's a cool, interesting book. Ruins of Ravencroft is just a phenomenal storyline of any book that you read from that. Werewolf, Dracula, Carnage. They're just such interesting books. I loved reading them. I had to get that one slabbed. I got the other one slabbed too, and sold that one to buy another raw copy because I was like, you know what? I want to have a raw copy of this. I've got this slab. I'm actually going to give this slab away and probably grade one of the other ones that are probably going to be a 9.8 because they're in much better shape.
Mm-hmm.
University of California, Santa Barbara.
Okay. Or that.
That makes sense. I thought it was a Comic-Con.
I knew it was that. I just didn't want to say anything. That's all. I knew that the whole time.
All right, Remy, Slippy Fingers for life.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I gotta say, Remy, you are absolutely everywhere. It's been fun to talk to you about Justice League.
Yeah, hey, I'm so sorry I was late to the party there. I was really running around. This week has gotten away from me, and just a lot of home stuff. And again, I saw your message. I was like, man, I got on into the chat, and just what you're talking about. I was like, I completely agree with you. I mean, I understand, and again, you haven't seen it, so I'm excited for you to see it now. You know what I mean? Because I was really anticipating it. Not at the level of like super fan, but just really interested to see like, okay, how much new movie are we gonna get? Yep. Because I went back and I did rewatch Dawn of Justice. Just like, all right, how much of this are we gonna get? Like, are you just gonna have some filler or some different special effects or something? It's like, I don't need that. I want to see exactly where, what can you key into this? And again, I have seen it and I was pleasantly surprised. So it's I'm excited for you to see it, and we'll have to have a round 2.
And that's kind of my plan. Is like I was ready to click play, and I'm like, I can't do this yet. I've got to share my thoughts beforehand. Thoughts that I thought beforehand after the fact, they're going to be changed. I won't be able to word it the same way because I'll just immediately not know, or I'll immediately have different ideas and different ways of thinking about it. So I got to say, it's one of those things. And my wife doesn't want to watch it. She's like, the first one was such trash. I really just don't want to dive into it. 4 hours long.
That's a commitment there. Yeah, you got.
I want to kind of chunk it up, possibly too, because obviously with kids and whatnot, 4 hours is a lot of time to dive into a movie.
You know what? And actually, now that I think about it, I don't want to send you in thinking too much of it. So it sucked. It was terrible. You're gonna hate it. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what the big hype was anyways. It wasn't interesting or anything. There's nothing new added. Just imagine a 4-hour-long trash bucket that you got the last time.
And I will say, I like that the death of Superman drew out Darkseid. I like that concept. I really, it makes me understand more of where Zack Snyder wanted to go and why he did the death of Superman. But it's like, it's too soon. You can't play catch up. You can't play, we're going to compete with Marvel because you're not Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel's not DC, and DC's never going to be Marvel. They have characters that are similar, but the way that they tell stories, the way that they do stories will never be the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Christian Bale's version of Batman, we saw some of the Batman detective side, but it was like, okay, you shot bullets at something and was able to figure out how to piece together those bullets to find the fingerprint. That's not really detective work. That's billion dollar technology. That. I mean, I don't consider that being a detective. A detective is someone who gets down and dirty in the mud and figures out what each piece of it is. Like,
that's crazy. I don't think I ever thought about that. Yeah, they really haven't touched on the detective portion at all.
Never seen a detective Batman movie, and we're missing out. Like I think that if we get that, number one, it's got to be a TV show, because to really dive into who Batman is as a detective, it's got to be like another an older version of Gotham, which was phenomenal for the first few seasons, and that kind of fell off the rails too. But that's neither here nor there. But I want to see a detective side, and I'm hoping that Robert Pattinson's version of Batman will dive into that more, because that's what they're saying about it, is it's really the detective comics storylines.
I was gonna say, it seems like that's what they're leaning towards. So,
new Batman movie looks like a detective movie, definitely.
no.
Captain Marvel is greater than the Snyder Cut, no doubt. Well, you know my feelings on Captain Marvel. She is just an amazing person and just truly wonderful. No one can beat her. They're talking about the original Captain Marvel, right? Not Carol Danvers with not the old version.
I don't even know. Well, I'll just let the chat think that one. Sure, Tyler. Sure. Hey, Tyler, here you go.
That's awesome.
Just for you, buddy. Just for you. There you go. There's your magic plug right there. Tyler sucks.
But I mean, watching Captain Marvel, just to say something about that real quick, I will say that was an okay movie. I definitely can't rate it above a 7 out of 10. But Marvel kind of didn't do her justice, but at the same time, they were kind of playing catch up with that character, and they had to introduce it right. And I feel like they went with a female character just to say that they did a female superhero, and not kind of go too far back in a storyline that they weren't ready for yet. And I mean, as a studio, you got to do it the right way. You can't introduce these characters that people don't know right off the bat. You can't introduce the wrong character that's not going to tie in well to the rest of the team. So I mean, they did go with the right version of Captain Marvel for who they had on the Avengers at the time, but it wasn't what it could have been, and that's what sucked.
I think that was one that they definitely rushed. I think it was a rush, just kind of like a filler movie, really. And what's unfortunate is I think Guardians. I consider Guardians a movie where when you talk about characters that weren't as well known, you know what I mean. That I think really surprised a lot of folks. However, because you had the different characters and they all worked so well together, it really, you know what I mean, they could do something really phenomenal. That, and with Captain Marvel, it's like, if you didn't like her, you know, or if you had gripes with like the character or the actress or whatever, you know, I mean, it was either going to hit or it wasn't going to hit. And so I think that kind of split a lot of folks on whether or not you liked kind of where they went with that. And it did just kind of, I think what you said, like, it's like they just needed somebody to fill that part. And so they're like, all right, here we go.
Laws refused to watch that movie because they just can't stand that actress. They don't like her viewpoints.
Yeah, I think that hurt it a lot too. I think a lot of the behind the scenes, kind of hurt that a little bit. So
we know you were kidding, Shattered Glass. And Alex, I can
word you.
played a much bigger part in Endgame. Honestly, like I said, I think that she was the perfect side of Captain Marvel to play into the whole Thor idea and their dynamic in Endgame, Thor and Carol. But I mean, Carol played just like we expect a Carol to play. Carol's like that older version of Karen.
Wow, that was perfect. There you go. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, you did well by who Carol Danvers is, but you didn't do well by who Captain Marvel could be. So I'm hoping that we get something more from Captain Marvel, and we get more versions of Captain Marvel through the Multiverse of Madness. That would be really cool, to see different versions come out and different timelines. Because I think the original Captain Marvel was like from way back in the beginnings of the universe. It wasn't the same timeline as what is currently happening, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that much about it. Like I said, I'm a noob with most of this kind of stuff. Captain Marvel was just a character that my wife liked because she thought that the covers were cool. So she started picking up the books. And I mean, I don't read much of them, so I don't know much about any of those characters. I didn't know where she got her powers from or how she got her powers, or that there was even like 5 different Captain Marvels. I knew there was one. I knew of the original one, and then I knew of the Carol Danvers version.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think kind of that introduction to the Skrulls was a big part of it too, where it's like they had to have something fill that gap, and so it was, that might have been one where they were squeezing a little too much in all at once too. So
I think it was a Captain Marvel movie, a Skrull introduction, and then a Monica Rambeau introduction, so that way they could have that character in WandaVision later on, without it being this big deal of just out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
The way that they do things, everything ties in together. And I feel like when we rewatch these movies, they make even more sense once you see 5 movies down the line, or now TV shows down the line. What is up, Mark from Legion of Comics? Good to see you, buddy. Glad you could join. What up, Chris and Jeremy? We are Legion.
We are Legion.
If you have not already subscribed to Legion, make sure you go do that. They are quickly approaching 600. That is awesome. I love the different styles of text too. That's really sweet. But honestly, it's watching Thor 2, Thor Dark World. When I first watched it, I didn't really want to go back and rewatch it. It was interesting. It was cool. I liked the Dark Elves. I like the trickster style vibe from Loki, but until we got further into the Infinity Saga, I didn't really find that movie phenomenal. It wasn't something that I would want to like have in my collection if it didn't tie into something more. Kind of like an X-Men, Laying in bed for the first time in 2.5 days, it feels been a great last 48 hours. So basically,
he's just been watching it over and over again.
Mark's going to be on for maybe 5 minutes, and that's going to be asleep.
Pass out.
Where he's at.
12 away from 600. Yes, we know, Mark.
That is amazing, dude. You have been on a
every week we have another. Every Saturday, I've called it. I called it last Saturday. I called it this Saturday. Every Saturday, we're doing another giveaway.
I actually texted him earlier today, and I was like, dude, where are you finding all of these subscribers? Like, channel. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you don't deserve it, but honestly, it's amazing to see how awesome his channel's been growing. And we had actually joked around because someone messaged me a couple months ago and was like, hey, would you like to pay me to monetize your channel and blah, 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 blah. I've done this. And then he also said, I said, so you're telling me to look at your reviews and there's 2 of them, and you say that you've been doing this for quite some time? He goes, oh, well, my other account got deactivated. And I go, that makes me feel so good about spending $300 with you.
Yeah. That's funny.
4 full watches now. Are you talking about live watchers?
He's talking about the Snyder Cut.
Oh. So you've invested 16 hours into that movie in the past 48 hours. What have your kids been doing, Mark?
They've been learning. It's the same thing. We've been watching it as a family. It's just family time.
Just sitting there
you sit down there and you'd learn something right now. This is how it was supposed to be.
I
This was the blip. That's what happened. Everybody got dusted, and then they brought it back Snyder Cut style. This is how it was supposed to be.
in the YouTube. I'm all over this mofo all the time. Mark means he's watched Falcon Winter Soldier 4 times. So, yeah, Mark has said that he was not a fan, but I also don't take Mark lightly on knowing if Marvel's good, because he also said that Endgame sucked. No, I'm just kidding. But see, my channel is saying that I'm not excited about Zack Snyder's, or not as excited as I probably could be about Zack Snyder's Justice League, is basically like Mark saying he's not excited for the Russo brothers director's cut of Endgame that's going to get released in China because they want to go back up above Avatar. And I mean, Mark and I have butt heads over little nitty gritty stuff of DC versus Marvel over the past few months, and it's all been fun and good natured. But honestly, I'm not quite sure that I would say that Mark knows, or Mark would have the most unbiased opinion of Falcon Winter Soldier, but I also don't know if I would have the most unbiased opinion of Falcon Winter Soldier. I watched one episode when I was like, this is phenomenal. Did you see all those Easter eggs? I loved it. Every second of it. It was great. Everyone's like, it was so slow. I'm like, okay, and it was a very short episode.
You gotta work into it a little bit.
Yeah. I should pay someone to do this work for me, but I'm not Mr. DJ Links level yet.
Hey, I'll give you a deducted rate, sir. Okay, just have me working in there.
Oh, look who it is. The DC lover, the Marvel hater.
I just got out of bed for this. I'm not lying. I'm in my underwear. What's the point? I'm just gonna stay awake typing. What's the point?
Yeah. I said at some point Mark's just gonna stop typing and he's just gonna be asleep and we'll be like, where the hell did he go? But we'll still have 4 viewers.
Yeah. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, real quick. The first episode was hot garbage.
Kidding. I haven't seen it yet.
Hot garbage. I want to tell you, right, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm going to tell you they spent 10 minutes just making us happy in the beginning for nothing. And then they spent the rest of the show trying to convince us of a concept that is asinine. Asinine. And I hope that this show's plot takes us far away from the first episode, because I've been pumped for this series. I loved Captain America Winter Soldier, and this is like getting back to that style. Let's get to it. Yep. Let's go.
No, for sure. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a fanboy, because obviously at the end of the day, it needs to be good. It needs the best possible version of everything possible.
That's for Tyler in the chat.
So this is basically like at the beginning of COVID when there were those newscasters. And okay, Mark, is this how you get other channels not to get subscribers? You still have half naked there?
That's what he does. That's what he does. He was like, oh yeah, congrats to me. Well, guess what? Now I'm gonna
I feel like this should help.
you in my underwear. It is loud.
This should help.
I need 12 more followers.
In all defense, most of the people that are hanging out here, we all know.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone watches this on the replay who's subscribing for the first time, they're in for it.
You're welcome.
If you're watching this on the replay, just remember Mark is in his underwear. Tyler sucks.
All right, let's be crystal clear. We're all in our underwear. I'm just the only one willing to show y'all.
I've got on basketball shorts. Okay, so
are you free balling? Are you free balling?
I am free balling. Yes,
they're underwear then.
This is what this has devolved into: is us talking about if we're wearing underwear or not.
Yes, there's no underwear. It's just basketball shorts. And
all right, let's bring it back in.
Nice
I apologize. Let's bring it back in. Do superhero wear underwear in their spandex?
No.
Okay, so we're all in good company.
No, you just spandex that thing up and let it go.
Fans.
Yeah, I love Marvel movies. For the record, I absolutely love Marvel movies for what they are. And Chris, you know this. I've told you how I enjoyed Thor: Dark World a lot because it's kind of the most comic accurate Thor, the most sword and sorcery feeling one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit that generic Marvel format that they're just replaying over and over again, which I liked when they weren't doing a generic format. But as soon as they hit a cash cow with Guardians of the Galaxy, they just started replaying that format, which I still enjoy them, but I just enjoy them for what they are, just a clone copy of one another where everything is the same, just with a different face on it. But I still enjoy them. I still love them. Still do. Captain Marvel was garbage.
That's why you don't like Falcon Winter Soldiers, because it's gotten you out of that clone.
No. You gotta watch it. You'll see. Like, okay. I don't want to spoil anything. And again, I'm super pumped for the show. I still am. And I'm hoping that the inevitable plot that hasn't started yet will take us away from what. And you really have to see it without me spoiling anything. But there's a couple of themes, elements, and characters introduced that are going to be really tied to where they exist geographically in the show that aren't going to be able to move forward with the plot. So I think the plot will take us away from this blaring, ridiculous elephant in the show. But I really don't want to spoil anything because I want you to go into it without any preconceived notions or anything. I was just like blown away with the direction. This is absolutely ridiculous. Why are we spending this much time on you trying to fleece me right now? Like, you're not doing it.
Yeah,
it felt like some guy in an alley opened his trench coat and tried to sell me Botox. Like, I'm not buying it. You know what I'm talking about, Jeremy?
I give the Botox in an alley. Hey, I got some Botox for you. Do you want me to inject your face now or inject your face later?
It's so crazy, but it really happened. I was in Mexico when it happened, so
I only want the Botox injection as long as I know those needles aren't clean. Thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty much a guarantee, I think.
I want to say that WandaVision had a lot of people in the same place that you're at right now at the first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier.
No, I was cool with that. That was.
I was good with that too.
An homage. I did think it was kind of goofy for them to kind of lean so heavily into it in 20-minute episodes in a 9-episode season. Like, you don't have a lot of room to work here. But now that we've seen it all played out and saw how small of a scope of a story that they were telling, definitely works looking back on it. And
I feel like with WandaVision, they had to do that because then they kind of saw this piece of what Wanda let you see, and then you saw this piece of what really happened, and then you saw this piece of what Wanda actually did. Like, that kind of was cool to see too. I don't think they needed 3 episodes of it. I think 2 would have been fine.
I think 1 would have been fine.
Probably.
You could have done 1 and kind of like fleshed out Photon a whole lot more.
Yeah.
You know, hindsight's 2020. Had they only done 1, the last episode wouldn't have gotten struck by COVID so hard and been such a choppy, rushed finale. Yep. Like, Darcy wouldn't have had 1 scene where she rammed someone in an ice cream truck that somehow got inside everybody's defenses, playing stupid music on its way. Enjoy your time in jail. Like just if you can't fit her in, leave her out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so stupid. Wanda all of a sudden, I know how to use ruins all of a sudden because while my children are missing, I'm crying and having an emotional breakdown. You say the word ruins to me 1 time, now I know how to do them. Like, no, those little blaring plot holes I was catching, went into it with too much pre-knowledge of what was going on. But again, I get a lot of clarity rewatching this stuff with my 13-year-old daughter, who it's her first experience with any of it, and I watch her light up like a Christmas tree. And I'm like, okay, they did their job. They're playing to a new audience that's unfamiliar. This is their introduction, and that's perfectly fine. And then when I take it for just a simple story of Wanda getting over everything with her grief and everything, and that one line that the Vision gives when he says, "What is grief if not love enduring?" I'm like, you got me. Here's my tears. You win. You win. I give up.
No,
that was great.
Honestly, the person that I look to, like you say that you look to your 13-year-old daughter, I look to my wife because he doesn't know what I know about a lot of this stuff. I'll be watching this stuff and I'll be like, oh my God, they just name dropped so and so. She'll be like, ooh.
They name dropped Scarlet Witch as a big shocking ending to episode 8. Like, oh my God, I didn't
Chaos
realize
magic.
If y'all know her name is
Scarlet
Scarlet
Witch.
Witch. You are the Scarlet Witch. Oh,
Yeah, that was terrible.
Jesus.
That was terrible.
Jesus.
And I gotta say, it was Marvel Studios' true.
The Scarlet Witch.
I've got your children on leash.
I'm gonna get that little snippet and put it on here. So when I end any live stream, I'm gonna end it with "You are the Scarlet Witch."
I will say, Marvel Studios' true first attempt solo, without like Netflix being involved or ABC being involved for a TV show. So I gotta say, for their first time out doing a show, I'm hoping that they kind of learn from their mistakes and go off of that the same way that I know that like the CW, their DC shows kind of evolved over the years. Yes,
Crap.
But
this, they learned because Berlanti, who produces all of those, he did the one show for the DCU streaming service of Stargirl, which he moved from CW to do that show because they promised that he'd be able to bring it over to CW, and he didn't mirror the CW stuff. He made an individual show that reflects the tone and style, the characters that are involved in it, and it was a hit. So what does he do when they need a new flagship show? They're like, dude, Superman's our most iconic person. They're like, yeah, he's done to death, though. He's like, I've got an idea. And they did it in the tone and style that you would assume a Superman property to be in. And Superman and Lois is fantastic.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm definitely excited to see it.
It is so good. Like, what? You gave him an extra kid. You made him have twins, and somehow it's amazing. Like, I was quick to be like, man, there's crapping on. I'm biased to Superman, and I've hated everything that they've done with him. Like, I'll watch it, like, find some way to enjoy it, but the fact that they pull this little, like, he's literally a sidekick to Supergirl in the CW universe. They pull him over and they remake him, dude. They just completely polish that turd up. It was awesome.
At the end of the day, Superman's still a turd, though.
Yeah, he's a turd that can wipe out your whole masterful Marvel universe.
I don't know.
I think he wipes his butt with Thor's hair.
Wipes his butt with his hair. Come on now.
He uses the Infinity Gauntlet for a road trip urinal, so he doesn't have to pull over.
It would be kind of interesting to see Thanos.
Do we have to look at the Rainbow Doom again? Do I have to show you Rainbow Doom?
He wins hula hoop contests across the universe. Check.
Who doesn't?
Rainbow Doom turns you into glass. Come on now. How can you fight?
He's like Thor. You have a rainbow bridge to get home. Watch this.
Hula hoop. This is what I think
Watch this. There's your bridge.
I can't let you do that. I can't
never
let you do that
going
to
home
Thor anymore.
I know. That was. I'm sorry.
Here you go. $1 billion debt. Where he fights a dragon in space.
Boom. You know who else fought a dragon from space? Godzilla. It almost killed him. Those things are no joke, and Superman just punches it in the face.
All right. Well,
Mark,
hey, it was fun talking to you, fellas, and I am gone.
But honestly, I want to get you guys back on after I watch the Zack Snyder version.
Please do.
Oh, in all sincerity,
you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate
it. In all sincerity, what, just like if you recap, what are your how you said you were going to kind of do your pre-thoughts or ideas of what you want to see or whatever. What do you got?
First and foremost, and this was kind of like my third one. I'm tired of Zack Snyder always having the excuse, well, if you saw my total movie, the whole thing, you would have loved it a lot more. Secondly, I can't remember.
Jeremy, did you watch it?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He smiled. Can't hold it back.
That's what I said. I was like, hey, I don't want you to go in this. I don't want to hype it up too much. I was like, you're gonna hate it. It's not gonna be that good. It's long.
Well, you can level my hype down a little bit just because, like, I'm 4 years validated as of yesterday. But yeah, full vision. Go ahead.
And my biggest thing was just, if you have to go back and fix a movie that you started and do $70 million more, $70 million more, $80 million more, and release it on a streaming service where you're not going to make a dime truly on like people watching it. It doesn't strike me well, to say the least. It's kind of like me saying, hey, I've got this phenomenal thing, but you have to wait 4 more years in order to see what I actually wanted to do.
You do
I agree with
understand
you.
what
Sucks.
you do understand what happened though, and why that is, and why it's here and not there, right?
Yep.
Like that HBO came to him, Warner Brothers wanted nothing to do with it. They even said that we would take the material that you have and we'll do our best to format it back in and put it out there in an unfinished product. And he said, absolutely not. The HBO executive that came over to start the HBO Max thing, who's in charge of it, when he sat down at his business computer on day one, the first email he had was from fans about release the Snyder Cut. He said every day he'd come into work and leave work, the first and last thing he ever saw on his computer was from fans to release the Snyder Cut. He personally approached Zack Snyder about it, and he believed in Zack Snyder, and HBO Max believed in Zack Snyder. And this is not a Warner Brothers or a DC property. This is an HBO Max original that this belongs to them. That's why it's on this platform and not anywhere else, because no one else believed in letting the director off the leash. Warner Brothers has proven, not just with Zack Snyder, but with countless directors, they don't trust the creators that they hire. HBO just showed out and showed what happens when you just let them do them. You're going to, and that aspect, whether you enjoy the film for what it is or not, you will see the difference of letting someone work makes. It is amazing.
That's actually where I think that it's disappointing for all of the fans that they made such a terrible decision to let him do this, because to let it fall flat on its face again after all that money and after all this time.
Yes. And the money thing, it started out
Terrible.
$20 million, and they were impressed with what they were seeing. And he said, I have like what else? Because again, this movie didn't have to be a 4-hour-long release. You know, he has on paper, he has this much, and then you scale it back and you take this and you take that and you come up with your finished product. But he was given the opportunity to, for one time in his career, and this will never happen again for someone else unless this is a complete game changer, where they say everything that you put down on paper that you've worked on, keep it all. Keep it all. What do you need to keep it all? And they gave him more money to keep it all. Then he sacrificed his salary that he had to come in and finish it. He chose to sacrifice it. And when the movie goes black, the very last 2 words that you see on that screen, you'll know exactly why. And I dare you not to cry.
Okay. So
again, I thought it sucked. I watched part 1 and 2, and then I was like, the only way this is going to be entertaining is if I watch it in Cantonese with Arabic subtitles. So I finished out the rest of the movie like that, and that was much more enjoyable. To see Superman in Cantonese, that's how you do it right there.
I do just say, for the record, I've gained 1 subscriber since I've been on here. I don't know.
How many have you lost?
It was the thighs.
How many have we lost?
Oh my god, that's funny. I just put up YouTube.
You were at 416. Now you're at 415. Congratulations. It's Mark's fault.
I want to pull up the live chat. There's so much. I can't respond on stuff. If the tragedy didn't happen, it's hard to say. Yeah, if the tragedy didn't happen, we would have never had this movie at its full length. And it is cool how they put it in parts. So if you're not able to watch it all in one sitting, you don't have to like commit to it. If you can, that is all for the good, obviously. But
no, I don't know who would want to commit to that long to watch. It's like I'd rather watch a paper bag
floating. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. I'd watch
disclaimers. Kevin Spacey's a monster. You have to disclaim that every time. Yeah.
Again, 16 hours of Finn just like, oh my god.
No. I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch it the first time. He was still asleep, and then I expected it to release at 12 noon like Wonder Woman 84 did. So I made all my plans. Like I took off from work, had my mom come hang out with him for a few hours. He went and played with his little cousin his age. Like my whole family lives close by. Like me, my mom and dad are real tight. You know what I mean? And so she picked him up and went to my brother's house like a couple miles away and just let my nephew and Finn play together. And I went and picked my dad up, hit the LCS, and then came back home. And we sat down and watched it all together. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Tyler, the only other movie that's made that happen for me. So I'm definitely excited to see this movie. And I have to say, after watching your live stream at 8 a.m., right after you watched it, Mark, it made me want to see it. I definitely agreed with Ryan on a few of the things with like slow-mo. You can't have too much slow-mo. You can't have slow-mo take forever and all of that. Pirates of the Caribbean proved it when they slow-moed a bullet into a bunch of
Barrels.
Barrels.
Was
Like,
awesome.
stupid, but
Wasn't stupid. Was awesome.
What if it slow mo's into Superman's eye?
His actual ball. No, listen, about that going into, I do want to point this out. Zack Snyder is a unique filmmaker in the way that he does things. He tries to, he's big on soundtracks and scores, and you can go to a movie called Sucker Punch that he did as a great example of this, where he got Emily Browning, the main actress, to actually do a cover of Tainted Love for it. He heard her singing on set and went back and recorded her in the booth singing it because they wanted to add that to the movie. But he's a huge fan of music. So whenever you get to one of these, as you would suspect, unnecessary slow-mo scenes with something mundane happening, try to catch yourself and listen to not just the music, but the words that are being said. Because what he attempts to do, and in my opinion, he does it well, because I'm very geared for Zack Snyder style movies. I've been a Snyder fan since before he took over Man of Steel even. I've loved Zack Snyder. But he tries to not just like, it's not just what you're witnessing. He wants you to feel what's happening too. So it gives you this unique moment in a movie that's not rushed, where you're sitting and stewing in the emotions that he's trying to portray on the character. And it works really well. A little spoiler here, there's a slow motion scene with Aquaman, and there's a song playing that's specifically about a king without a kingdom and a kingdom without a king and being lost. So that's just a little example of how, I mean, with music, plays into it a lot differently, but you'll see that intentionally used a lot so that it's meant to set the tone. And that book We Live that I read and interviewed those creators not long ago, it actually had mixed media where you can QR code a song, and the writer said you're meant to stop in that moment in the book and listen to that song so that it puts you in the proper headspace for moving forward. And it's the exact same thing with Snyder. And it might not always hit for all people. It's a unique way to approach a movie. It's meant to be an experience and not just a movie.
I'm not a fan of the whole idea of, well, this, and obviously I'm not taking away from his tragedy. I don't want anyone to think that I'm heartless or anything like that, because that's not what I'm trying to do at all.
And don't say but. Don't say but. Please don't say
but. So heartless. Good Lord. I didn't know I signed on for this.
It's like when someone says, I'm not racist, but
I'm simply trying to
insert racist comment.
Of someone who's like, okay, we saw 3/4 of what Snyder had envisioned.
Nope.
Yes,
but I mean, like his original,
just longer.
Not 97%.
Really?
Yeah. It's the same movie. They just changed the score up a little bit. They added a little more blood. Ooh, dark
in
side.
all sincerity, Chris, the movie is unrecognizable from version 1.0. The scenes that are familiar from one to the other are completely different. Even the majority of this film was never seen in version 1.0.
No, and the best scenes are all the same best scenes that you saw in the first one.
The best scenes all were the CGI mustache scenes, and they took all of those out for this one. It was a tragedy. That was
Wonder Woman hitting bullets off of her gauntlets. Everybody fights Superman. It's the same big scenes you got the first time. No shockers.
Nothing.
You're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it.
I'm trying so hard not to
mark my words. You will hate this movie.
What I'm saying is the original cut, the original theatrical cut that we got. How much did Zack Snyder play a role in that before that tragedy happened?
He played a lot in the original cut, but Joss Whedon came in and did 200 pages of rewrites, tons of reshoots.
Okay.
And it's if you had to do a 4-sentence summary of the movies, that's how you make them identical, as a 4-sentence summary. If you go beyond that, it starts deviating quickly. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have Steppenwolf, the bad guys coming to Earth. And that's as far as you can really take it, because his motives and everything, it all gets flushed out in this.
And that's where I don't
You're-
want to say that. Obviously, like I wish that we would have gotten a Zack Snyder movie right off the bat because I liked
no.
Man of Steel. I really really enjoyed Man of Steel. I wanted to get more involved in it. I thought that it could have been greater or better.
We didn't realize how much got affected by that one until like the second attempt came out with Batman v Superman, where there's a lot of obvious interference, and then they released an extended cut, and you even have Zach saying, "Yeah, this isn't even the full on." Then that's when we really started seeing and being privy to how much studio interruption there was with his stuff. And he's been on interviews where every movie he does from his trilogy, Warner Brothers wanted him to cul-de-sac the ending to all of them. And because they said, we don't know if we're going to move forward from this or not. And he said, whether we know, even if we know we're not going to move forward, I'm not going to cul-de-sac my film. That's not the genre. If we know we're doing a one-off movie, we do not cul-de-sac the ending. And they were just at odds, complete odds. They would not let him create.
See, but that's my biggest thing is like, so not only do you have a studio that won't let you do what you need to do to create the best movie possible, but you also have a director who is known for making excuses for why these movies, not saying Justice League because obviously that was
Are
totally
they excuses if they're true? Or are they reasons?
Well,
Lawyer. I don't know what to say to that. It's the same.
even if it's true, even
Hey, look, I'm hitting home runs over here.
even if I'm late to work because there was
You go to
traffic,
bed.
would have gotten up earlier.
I do. I have to go to bed in the morning or work.
I mean, like, it's even if it's true, it's still an excuse.
Well, that's not
No.
a reason because you have to compensate for traffic when you leave for work. So
This is what you do. Put on the original Justice League. Okay. Every time they say Mother Box, take a shot, put on a classical soundtrack or some epic soundtrack like Legion's talking about. Listen to the experience.
listen to it.
Pause, because you have to stretch it for 4 hours.
You have
So
to feel
Mother
it.
Box, shot, pause, listen to Beethoven, unpause every time they say Mother Box, and you got the new movie. That's about it.
Yeah, you do that with the old movie, no difference. Because by the time you
It's
get
about
20
the same thing.
by the time
About
you get to
the
the 20th Mother Box,
Yeah.
you'll be too drunk to
Yeah.
know what you're watching anyway.
He's going after the Mother Box. Pause, drink.
You will love me.
Pause. It's
Honestly,
a terrible movie.
no, for sure. Justice League, the Joss Whedon theatrical version was terrible. It
No, I'm
was.
talking about this one.
Oh. Well.
You're gonna hate
Chris,
it.
what do you think of the Lord of the Rings movies? Not like the actual style of that kind of movie, like an epic journey kind of film that's long formatted, that you really flesh out a lot of characters in a lot of different places in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Opposed to like the Marvel format, which is just versus the Lord of the Rings format, which is an epic actual film.
So I will say, I've only watched the first Lord of the Rings movie.
Hmm.
I was not a I was not
With you.
honestly. What's up, last Ketchum? How's it going?
What is going on? Last Ketchum.
However, it was not the style of the movie that I didn't like. The first time I watched it, I was absolutely exhausted. I fell asleep during it. I had just gotten done studying, and my buddies were like, "Let's go hang out." We all just finished our finals. Let's just go
So what you're
chill.
saying is you have no real experience with that question.
Not with Lord of the Rings. With other
And
movies,
again, I'm talking about the format more so than the actual film.
Yeah. the format I do. I definitely enjoy that style of format where you have like this adventure style. I think
long formatted films.
the closest to that, where it's like this long drawn out adventure of different things going on and this end goal in mind and all of that. I enjoy it. It's definitely up there with movies that I would love to watch and stuff that I would say, yeah, I'm going to go see that.
You see Tyler's last comment?
You know, the
Can you imagine if J.K. Rowling had to cut her 7th book in half and had someone rewrite 80% of? Seeing that's what I said, Mark, before you got on was Zack Snyder had to take his baby and hand it off to someone else, and Joss Whedon had to take it and make it his.
Joss Whedon he's a real POS for what he did, man. This dawned on me when I was doing my live stream. Joss Whedon knows why Zack Snyder had to step away from the project. He knew why he was getting hired. Joss Whedon chose to put in his rewrites a suicidal Batman at the end of his movie. How just disconnected from reality, or what kind of human being could you possibly be to make one of your rewrites in someone else's project you just left because of they just had a child die from suicide, and you're going to make the title character of the film suicidal in it? Like, has anyone ever stopped to really? I've never heard anyone mention that. It just kind of dawned on me after I saw the Snyder cut and just seeing the difference. And like, that's absolutely crazy.
Is Batman suicidal in Justice League?
You don't remember he went on a suicide run at the end of Justice League in Aquaman, Wonder Woman? This is version 1.0 now. He literally went on a self-suicide mission, and they refused to let him kill himself, and they went and saved him. Because they had the little button that he switched for all the parademons to chase him, and they were supposed to go over here and do this, and they refused to let him kill himself, and they went and saved him and said, "We'll do it together. Hardy har har, go Whedon." That is insanity.
No. Now that I'm thinking of it, yeah, that's fucked up. I mean, there's no better way to say that.
There's really not.
The only thing I can say, the only thing that comes to mind is I'd have to rewatch it to see the lead up to it, because
I don't think that would be necessary. You shouldn't waste your time or ever support that film with your money or your time ever again. It'll be very apparent once you watch the new version. It'll make everything else stick out like a sore thumb.
You're gonna hate it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done.
But
Tap out.
no, for sure. I never thought of him as suicidal. I thought of it as sacrificial, as him seeing it as one of the only ways.
He did it. He was doing it as grief and guilt over Superman, though. Like he felt guilty through the whole film about what happened with Superman. And I'm talking version 1.0 right now. They have those endless, tireless battles over bringing Superman back to life, and Wonder Woman was arguing with him, and he took the shots about Trevor, and she pushed him and everything. And between Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman, they were split down the middle if it was a good idea or a bad idea. And they were getting on to Bruce about him trying to make this decision based off emotion because of the guilt he felt about him dying at the hands of Doomsday. And that thread went through the whole movie, culminating in him going on a suicide run at the end. It was stupid. And even then, it wasn't even that, like, it wasn't even written that well. Like, I'm just able to pull this plot out because I've watched it 1,000 times. Even the Justice cut, I've watched so many times.
So,
and I didn't hate it like I do now until I've seen, like, what he, like, you can always assume, like, you never know what parts was this person's and that person's, but now you do.
Definitely. And see, I hope and pray that wasn't his intention to make a suicide.
I can't imagine, you know what I mean? Like he just had to just not even notice or thought it through like that,
Because the way that I pictured it, I didn't think suicidal. I thought sacrificial. I thought it as the best way to put it, the best way to relate it would be when in Avengers, the original OG Avengers, when
Tony flew up into the wormhole.
No, when Coulson dies.
That wasn't even intentional. Tony intentionally risked his life flying up into that wormhole. Yeah.
But I mean, like, the way to bring them together was to have them find a common enemy, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, but that was a plot hole, really, because Coulson didn't expect to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go in here and not expect to die. And when I die, have this convenient excuse of, yeah, I went and did that just so they could have something to avenge. Like, plot hole.
Sure. I'm not trying to make it so that like they're totally the same.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like maybe that was his thought process, was because they weren't really thinking on the same page in that last battle from what I remember from the first one.
No, they really weren't. That's because there was a poor writer doing 200 pages of reshoots.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm very excited for you to see this. I know you're going to dislike it and you're going to be let down by it, but I'm excited for you to get to play the differences and actually, you know what I mean? Just to get to from a comic book fan's point of view, I'm excited for you to be able to see it because I know you enjoy comic books.
Yeah.
And this is a comic book movie.
From
This
here,
is I don't think you'll like it again, but
You're not going to like it.
I think you'll enjoy the experience. I don't think you'll like the movie.
Yes, that's better. That's better. Yeah.
for this coming out and for number one, HBO Max having the sole rights to owning it, and that it'll probably never touch a single Blu-ray disc because I don't think HBO is going to.
Well, they pump out Blu-rays, but they, you know what I'm saying? They've
I've already
pumped out
ordered
Blu-rays
mine. Wish.com from China.
Yeah. No, they
It's
make
$3.
With extra COVID.
all the time. They make like how they do those specials and everything. HBO has a distribution deal with putting stuff on disc. I don't know if they'll ever put this on disc. If they do, that'd be great. But I've seen no announcement of it yet, so there's no way that it's anytime soon. You know what I mean?
And will they be allowed to?
It's theirs. And
But-
even if it's not theirs, like 100%, like it's just a money thing. Of course, that seems like such a simple roundabout thing to do. I guess they didn't announce any kind of disc release. Yeah, they probably didn't want to like try to commit to something like that until they see how it plays out, because it isn't like you're going to want to make it available as a fishing lure for your streaming service and then announce it. We'll put it out on disc soon, because that way that the people who don't have your streaming service will like, I'll just wait for the disc. You wait a good 6 months and then you announce it if you plan on it. If it hits good enough and you know that you're not going to lose money doing it, announce it 6 months later. You know what I mean? And
definitely,
you want to get as a business standpoint, you want to get your subscribers up from it. Dude, I subscribed to HBO Max before it was available because they announced the Snyder Cut was coming to it. I was already knowing that the DC stuff was coming. I would have gotten it eventually, but the day they announced the Snyder Cut, I went ahead and put my subscription in just to support that immediately.
Yeah.
Like I want them to see numbers reflecting their decisions. I wanted to support that decision for them to support the creators like that.
And then they're looking at it. Who the hell watched this 4 times in the last 24 hours?
A couple people.
It was that guy. One guy who
Huey,
liked it.
The Amazing Spider Grandpa on Blasting and Stashing Comics, he's watched it twice already. Hyler's watched it more than once already. DJ Link's watched it more than once already. I'm telling you, it's horrible.
Hey, I've got to jump off here, fellas.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm about to have to head to bed too. I had to come on here and talk with you guys. My thumbs are tired even.
For sure. My last comment that I'm going to make is that this sends a message to DC and Warner Brothers and everyone involved with the original that if you give Zack Snyder the reins and you let him do what he wants to do and you don't sit there and nitpick and try to pull away, as long as he's fitting this into this time slot of a true movie, not 4 hours, because he can't. I don't want to see a 4-hour DC movie every 4 times a year. You know what I mean? It will get repetitive and redundant, and it just.
Chris, you have moderators on your channel?
What was that?
Do you have moderators on your channel?
I do not.
Do you see Shattered Glass Comic Reviews? Do you have your chat open on your phone to make it easy?
It's fine.
No, it just reminds me. You need moderators on your channel.
Yep.
And the way to do it is you just open chat on your phone, your live stream on your phone, hold down anybody's name, and it just says make moderator. You should do that.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely. I want this to be a message to DC and WB. That this needs to just happen differently from here on out, because I want, as a comic book fan, I want there to be the best possible movies that can possibly come out. I wasn't impressed with Wonder Woman 1984. It could have
The
been
story wasn't there. The story was just too choppy, absolutely too choppy.
but
Visually, it looked nice, but yeah, see, I'm not completely DC biased. You know, I can call it trash when it's trash.
You don't like one Marvel character out there. You hate the Hulk. Don't even act like you're.
Dude, I actually put Hulk books up, unfortunately, to put up some New God stuff. I felt guilty doing it. Like, how dare I? I still have that book to send you to, Jeremy. I've just been kind of waiting to see if I come across anything else, because it seems stupid to send one book.
What are you talking about?
The Wreckers, the Defenders, what is it, 16 or 18? That first
you
Wreckers I
serious
told you I'm
about
sending you? Yeah, dude.
Man, awesome. Thank you.
Dude, that's a high grade copy for the score.
Well, that's awesome. Man, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. I think I'm gonna have to jump off. I hear some yelling
Dude, it's
upstairs.
12:30,
I know. I gotta get the dogs taken care of.
which is really scary because no one's up there.
Well, hey,
Now
thanks for letting me jump on, man. Again, sorry I was late to the party.
every Friday at 10 p.m.
I'm sorry I was late. I was just hanging out on the couch with the wife until everyone went to bed. Then I finished the Snyder Cut.
So at week's end, I'm going to make a prediction that you've watched it 7 times.
No, I have to work tomorrow, so it'll probably just be one more watch through. Dude, I'm not even joking. It's 4 hours long of a superhero genre movie. So no matter how good or bad it is, there is a lot of stuff to be seen, which I caught something on this 4th time through that I didn't catch on the first 3 that I'm wanting to actually get into and talk about later, which I think I found my first major plot hole.
Oh.
Yes. I'm actually excited to get into some of that.
I can't wait to see what that is.
It's nothing major, but it's something that was affected by the release of this movie versus the release of its original intended release. So stuff like that you cannot watch this thinking to yourself, well, I've seen this, that, and the third that came after this movie's original release date. You have to keep in mind only what came before it, nothing that came after it.
This movie came out in 2017. It was just released in 2021.
Yes, but you have to put it in context of 2017. So movies have come out since then, DC movies. Leave Birds of Prey off the thing, Aquaman, Wonder Woman 84, none of that. You can't be like, oh, well, why are they doing this if they're doing that over there? Because this is what originally would have happened, and those things would have played out differently moving forward if some of these elements made it.
That's another interesting concept, too.
Yeah, it's really fun playing Where's Waldo with this film, man. It is really fun. Again, doesn't matter if it's good or bad. You can have fun inside of it. But why? No, I wouldn't try to nitpick it the first time. I wasn't able to. I was not able. Let me show you this picture of me watching it the first time. I'm going to bounce out of here, Chris. My wife took this picture of me while I'm sitting on the couch. And it's dark because it's the morning time. But I'm just sitting there just completely overwhelmed. And I found myself in a weird position I didn't even notice I was in until my wife flashed a camera in my face.
That's how I was. That's how I was at Endgame.
The last 40 minutes of Endgame, absolutely.
Endgame's
Dude, I still get chills when Cap picks up the hammer.
Oh yeah, it's the only movie that's made me cry 3 times in one movie. First of all, and then made me cry 2 times on the second time through.
I don't know how you can. I don't know if I'd shed tears in it, absolutely, but I don't think it was 3 times because the only moments that mattered in the movie were so close to each other at the tail end. I think it was just one moment of emotion that would just kind of drug out for me. Being serious, you know what I mean?
For sure. For me, it was when Cat picked up the hammer, when Tony died, and then at the end with the cheeseburger scene.
Oh, when he sits by the daughter when happy.
Because that's exactly what Tony said at the very beginning. And it sends chills down my spine even talking about it right now, honestly.
That's funny.
I'm here to serve the public.
All right, yo. Hey, everybody, take it easy. Thanks for having me on.
Before you sign off,
What's that?
to Mark, don't stand up before you sign off. We don't want to see too much.
No, don't worry. The flap's closed.
All right, take it easy, yo.
Have a great night.